3 foods for better mental health that actually work. But before we go into that, before I show you some of my most favorite foods for a better mental health, for better brain health, I'm going to explain you shortly what are the most important nutrients that our brain needs. So the 3 most important nutrients our brain needs are B12, vitamin B12, which we get from unwashed produce, or you can also take it as a supplement. But the microorganisms on unwashed produce that you eat, they create the B12 in your ileum. But now we're not going to focus on that because for most people it's unrealistic to eat homegrown, organic, unwashed produce. So we focus on the other 2 main ingredients our brains need the most, which are glucose and trace mineral salts. And now I'm gonna go into what are the most important foods, or in my opinion, the most, not the top 3, there are a lot of brain foods or foods for mental health that are really helpful, but I would say 3 foods that really help for better mental health. So we're starting right away with the most powerful food on the planet, and this is not an exaggeration, and it's also the most powerful brain food in existence. And I'm talking about, I'm getting the frozen wild blueberries first. I'm talking about the frozen wild blueberries, or also in general wild blueberries. Here we have also wild blueberry juice from Wyman's, but the wild blueberry, most powerful food on the planet. Why is that? Basically, you can burn the wild blueberry plant. It's just astonishing. You can burn the wild blueberry plant, you can burn that to the ground, and it starts growing again without planting a seed. There's no other food, there's no other plant on the planet that does that. You can burn everything down with the wild blueberry. Other plants, they need to be replanted, but the wild blueberry grows again much stronger than before. It is so resistant. There are over 100 varieties of the wild blueberry, and it is not possible to eradicate this food from the planet. It is so strong. It is absolutely insane how strong the wild blueberry is. It has the most antioxidants out of any food, and if you compare it to wild blueberries, it's like when you're comparing drinking water out of a paper cup compared to drinking water out of the Holy Grail. And it's not an exaggeration. Wild blueberries, completely different food than cultivated blueberries, and what they actually do is they remove toxic heavy metals from the brain. And toxic heavy metals in the brain, they interfere, twist out, short out electrical currents in the brain. They draw electricity from the brain, and in order to have a good mental health, you need to have a good electrical grid in your brain. The neurotransmitter and the electrical impulses, they need to fire in a good way. They need to work in a good way, and in order to have that, you need a brain that is free of toxic heavy metals. And wild blueberries, they remove toxic heavy metals from the brain. They also remove the body, or they remove radiation, DDT, and pesticides from the body. So not only toxic heavy metals. And if you have heavy metals in the brain, you also have tiny gaps in the brain if you remove them. And the wild blueberries, they also heal these tiny gaps. They heal basically the injuries that toxic heavy metals caused. So wild blueberries, my absolute favorite food for optimal brain and mental health, because it's not only detoxifying toxic heavy metals from the brain, it's also highly antiviral, really good for Epstein-Barr virus, which can also cause anxiety. But viruses and toxic heavy metals are actually the root cause of most mental health problems, specifically toxic heavy metals when it comes to dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, these kind of things. And the wild blueberry is the #1 food to prevent that, and if you have it, to also heal that. And the next food that I have here, after the wild blueberry, or in general, I talked about trace mineral salts, and in order to get enough mineral salts in your brain, you need huge amounts of leafy greens. And one of the best leafy greens out there is spinach. And spinach is not only good for the skin, spinach is not only good for the lymphatic system. Spinach and all kinds of leafy greens provide mineral salts like sodium, chloride, that are extremely helpful for keeping the electrical grid alive. Without electrolytes, without mineral salts, your brain couldn't function properly. And the more heavy metals you have in your brain, the more the more mineral salts get diminished in the brain. So the more mineral salts you eat, basically, the better it is for your brain, because they are basically the conductor of your nerves. Without mineral salts in your brain, your neurotransmitters, your electrical impulses, they couldn't work. Your whole body is electricity, and in order to keep that electricity functioning, you need lots of mineral salts. And you get that a lot from spinach. It's very good brain food. And the last one that I want to show you today is also, I couldn't live without bananas. It's one of my favorite fruits. It's bananas. And here I want to picture something. I want you to have a picture in your head, in your mind. Picture a wildfire, which is basically your brain under stress. And in order to die out that fire, you need water, right? And if your brain is under intense stress, there's like a fire going on, there's like a heat going on in your brain, which is as real as, you see there, as a stove. There's really some intense heat going on in your brain, and in order to die out that fire, you need glucose. So the glucose from the banana and any other fruit is really cooling your brain down. It's like the rain that is coming to die out the wildfire. And if you eat fruits that are high in glucose, or fruits are in general high in glucose, but if you eat foods that are high in glucose, then you can cool down your brain after intense moments of stress. The glucose is actually the very thing that is nourishing your brain cells, and that is not only nourishing your brain cells, but also cooling down the heat in your brain. That's why I love the bananas, because it provides this glucose, this bioavailable glucose for your brain, and also has great sources of potassium, which rebuilds neurotransmitter strength, and also traces of magnesium, which is helpful for the brain as well. So here are 3 foods for better mental health, explained why are they even help for mental health, what's even going on, because before you actually know what kind of foods are good for your brain, you need to know what the brain needs, and you need to know what kind of diseases are caused, or you need to know the root cause of the diseases or symptoms that we associate with bad mental health or with any kind of brain diseases. Because if you don't know the root cause, how can you know what kind of foods are good or bad for it? That's what most people don't know, and most people also don't understand that if somebody is telling you eat this, eat that, but they can't really explain to you what's going on in the first place, how can they know what kind of foods are good or bad for you? That's really, you have to think about that. So I would listen to people that actually know what's going on in your body, and then give you recommendations before you give recommendations without even knowing what's going on in the body. Doesn't make any sense, right? So if you have mental health issues or any kind of other chronic health issues, you can check out my website www.theobergmann.com, where you can book your free discovery call with me. In that discovery call, we're going to analyze your whole situation. We're going to look at your situation, see what kind of symptoms you have. You can explain us everything. We can look if and how I can help you. And then we can move on from there and see if we could work together. So thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.